Welcome back to the Professional Lovers Channel. I'm Al.
I'm Patty, and we are
The
Professional Lovers, coming at you for the last recap of season 15 before we sign off for the holidays. You didn't see us last week because we got busy with stuff and said, since they're doing something this week, we'll just combine the two, give you our last few thoughts and some new thoughts that we're thinking about for January's season 16.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, let's just talk a little bit about what we saw tonight on the Where Are They? Before we do that, if you're new, welcome. We've enjoyed sharing with you our thoughts and perspectives on the couples of season 15, the issues we talk about, relationship issues through the lens of Married at First Sight and our own personal lens of 29 years of marriage. 29, we can officially say.
Officially.
Yes. And so that's what we do. So let's get to it. Tonight was just seeing what everybody's doing. We're not going to spend too much time because
5 months after the fact.
5 months after the fact, they all got together for Kristen's birthday /
Bon
going
voyage.
away party, moving to New York from San Diego. So she wanted everybody to get together. And of course, thank goodness there were not the same fireworks as there were
Last week.
on the reunion.
Yeah. Or 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And a few interesting things. So we're just gonna kind of weave last week's part 2 reunion info, which I really want to focus on just the experts who talked to the couples that did not stay together. Right. But this week we started off with Stasha and Nate being separated. Stasha telling her mom that she had asked for a separation or maybe a divorce. She wasn't sure which one she was considering, but bottom line, he was back at his apartment, she was in her house, and they were not staying under the same roof. But it's interesting because, Kristen talked to both, went over, and first Nate called mom.
Yeah.
To say that he still loves Stasha, and but he was feeling hopeless because he didn't know what to do, what he needed to do,
or
where he stood in her or where he stood in her mind. And then Kristen went and talked to Stasha, and then she went and talked to Nate, and he reiterated that her timeline, which her mother said, is pressure for him.
Yeah. And that's how he's interpreting what her vision of planning and mapping out and what the next step will be, where we're going, what we're doing, how we're doing it, when we'll reach it. And he looked at that as being pressured. And I can definitely understand that.
And constantly living in the future.
Yeah.
And not enjoying right now.
Yeah. Just allowing the relationship to grow organically.
Right.
Yeah.
And not having to plan how your relationship
I'm going to plan to love you more by next week.
And that's a control thing that she just cannot seem to find the balance of letting that go. But I do have a problem, and we talked about this a lot during the show, with him keeping his apartment and this back and forth thing. And
we don't know the dynamics of his apartment, whether, I don't know if it's a condo or a lease situation, rental, whatever the case may be. But, again, it's his. And again, it's a new situation, totally different settings. One rural home, the other apartment setting, city.
When you say rural, you mean suburb?
Suburb, yeah. Yeah. But, whether or not he was locked into a lease or whatever, and I'm sure,
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know. But even in doing so, they never separated. They went together to each other's location. And yeah, that can be tiring. And I do believe that a decision should have been made, let's say literally within the first couple of weeks. Um, they had gone through the situation, and I know that he probably did not feel comfortable remembering how they went to her place, it being a staged environment and everything being perfect.
Yeah, but the reality is that when you're in a new relationship that you're building, because they're still building.
Right, but in building there's compromise.
And you need to do that together.
Right.
It is not healthy for a new relationship to be separated.
No, true.
And yes, even though she was at his place, he's at her place, you're still not creating a stable environment for the two of you to begin the process of growing in my opinion. Looking at his face. Not a brand new marriage.
I understand. I mean, that's how every couple has done it. You chose one location to live in, and the adjustment was made. And I understand that. He just wasn't ready.
Wow.
For that.
So, thankfully, he decided to go on over there. Of course, she thought at first, she said you came over here to film because you had to film, but they got through all of that, and it seems like that they have, found their middle ground and how to work through.
And something that Nate states the way they do it is that they step in each other's shoes. So it's kind of being empathetic of how the other one feels, which is critical. I mean, I think it's not often stated, but I think that's exactly what you really have to do. You have to understand where the other person is at. And that's all about being other-centered.
Right.
Taking into consideration your party.
And as I think we said before, they could all benefit from the testing. And thank you to all the subscribers who gave me that fourth loving style, which is storage. And
storage?
I think it's storage. Oh. It's either storage or storage, but I think it's storage. S-T-O-R-G-E.
Okay,
yes.
Gotcha.
And the sexual style test I was talking about is called Erotic Blueprint. Your Erotic Blueprint. And you can find that online. Just put in Erotic Blueprint. With Miss Jaya, I think it is. But there are a whole lot of tests. Intimacy tests, loving styles, temperament or personality. And all of those types of tests are really beneficial.
And fellas, let me just say that taking the test does not compromise your manhood or anything along those lines. Trust me, if that were the case, I would not be here today, since I had to take tests before even meeting her father.
Yeah. So interesting story. My dad was a psychologist, and this is what he did. Relationships. And so when he found out I was bringing him home to meet them, he sent a battery of tests for him and a battery of tests for me. Now, granted, we were older, we weren't serious, but your dad's like, if you're serious enough to bring some guy home to meet me, then it must be serious. But anyway, we won't go into that right here.
But we can talk about it later.
Yes, and we'll tell you how. But anyway, so that was Stasha and Nate. Kristen Kristen and Alexis have become partners.
Hey.
Went on a double date.
Crazy.
And that was interesting. But
how do you go on a double date and the only thing that comes out of your mouth is marriage?
Yeah, and that's all they were talking about was marriage. Yeah. But then that's what they just gotten out of.
Yeah, and that's their commonality.
You know,
I can't imagine the guys sitting at the table wondering where this is going. But they were cool with it.
Yeah. So, but Justin and Alexis, Justin is still having issues, really displaying a lot of insecurity, calling everybody else fake, and he's being fake as well. And it was interesting that the experts really felt like they could have stayed together.
Justin and Alexis.
Yeah. Pastor Cal particularly felt that Justin and Alexis should have stayed together long enough to see how they really could be as a couple. He felt that, they'd gotten to know each other so fast that he said they emotionally vomited on each other. And he feels like Alexis quit and that Justin basically confirmed, the quitting. Dr. Pepper said that Alexis wanted Justin to be an alpha male, which I could understand because she's an alpha female. So she really needed somebody
to challenge her.
Yeah. And that, they basically just reacted to each other instead of problem solving, which is why they were constantly going around in this circle. And they were constantly going around in that same circle this evening.
Yeah.
So, he felt that she's not genuine and she felt that he's not genuine. And, if he was so, first of all, if he really felt that Nate made a pass at him, he would not have accepted to go no guy is going to be hanging around another guy who they think was flirting with him. So he would not have accepted to go to the get together with Kristen and the gang. And it's interesting also that if you think everybody's fake, why go? Because he went and he's just hanging out by himself until he got drunk enough to decide to apologize to everyone, including Nate. And he keep talking about, I've learned, my limitations and my weaknesses and I'm working on them. Dude, you are a perfect candidate to go get some professional help. Don't try to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
Get some professional help. And we all need that.
Yeah. And I believe that you're willing to do it.
Yeah.
But you just need to know exactly how to do it.
I have done that.
How it's done.
It just happened to be with my dad. But it was professional because he was a professional counselor. So the bottom line is we all need that at some point in our journey of either learning yourself, knowing, as Alexis said, knowing, and Kristen, where your boundaries are, knowing what you will and will not accept, knowing your weaknesses and your triggers. All of that is necessary for you, for all of us to bring our best to creating a strong relationship.
Yeah. And what flashed through my mind was objectivity. When you're dealing with someone who doesn't know you, you're just feeding them. They can be objective in giving you a response. There's no skew as to why they're saying what they're saying to you because they don't want to hurt your feelings or whatever the case may be. They're being professional about giving you direct responses to whatever it is you're feeding them. So counseling is positive.
It is. Kristen, well, we'll save Kristen and Mitch to the last since she was kind of the focus. Very pleasantly surprised to see Morgan and Ben actually relating to each other, having fun, rebuilding just a friendship.
Yeah, communicating. I mean, in a very neutral environment, but somewhere where they can interact. Both of them can. He works out. He's not necessarily a fighter, but this is what she does. He works out. He can hang with her. As long as he don't put his face in the wrong place, because she was about to hook him one time.
Yeah.
But then even when they started wrestling and, it looked like, wow, it made you think what could have happened.
Yeah. And, don't know about that as going any further. But the way they had left it, she was completely done and not interested in having any kind of a relationship with Ben. So to see that change, and I want to dare say, I'm going to go out on a limb, this is my assumption, that with the therapy that he's been in and therapy that she's been in, that has helped.
True. I think it's definitely helped on his part.
Yeah, because Pastor Cal basically was saying that, Ben had no problem taking accountability for his role in the demise of their marriage, but he was to the extreme of falling on his sword and, just and downing himself completely.
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't want to do that at the jeopardy of your self-confidence. And one thing Morgan said in inviting him to the gym, that it was maybe turning him into an alpha male. He needed to grow a backbone for his next relationship. And that's what she was helping him do, is grow a backbone. But Pastor Cal also said that, Morgan could have given him more grace.
True.
And Dr. Pepper felt that Morgan didn't focus on the relationship. She focused on her hurt,
which came from her baggage.
Yeah, rather than the relationship. Yeah, and then Pepper had asked him, is he still looking for perfection? He came in, I think, looking for perfection because he's trying to be perfect himself.
Yeah, which is.
That is a personality trait. That is a temperament.
It's unrealistic.
To try to be perfect, which really just creates stress for yourself because it is unrealistic. So to see them interacting was really...
it was pleasant.
It was very pleasant. Very pleasant. Of course, Lindy and Miguel still doing great.
Yeah, Lindell.
Going house hunting and all of that, thinking about the next steps and the evolution of their relationship.
And one could listen to the banter or the discussion and just how maybe he may have not seemed too enthusiastic about the response of looking for a home and a neutral location, a new location, a larger location. His consciousness is starting from a financial situation where he does have a stability, which it seems like it was eons ago when they were first being introduced, and him talking about his finance and his stability and so on and so forth. Not that he was blowing his own horn, but he was stable. Whereas she brought in, student loan debt and things are being worked on. But just that exploration of new environments. I think that he's willing. He's just tentative.
Well, and he doesn't see it as a necessity at this moment.
Yeah.
But in her mind, it's about the planning.
Yeah, it's the progression. I mean,
right.
And it's natural.
Right. Because apparently it's not really enough space for the two of them. When you
any more than the two of them.
Yeah. When you're living a single life, unless you got it to where, like Stasha, you can have a lot of space. Most people are in an apartment that's really designed for like one person.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they, they're on a good track. And then Kristen and Mitch. So, I think Kristen has been kind of back and forth about, the way they left their decision day all lovey-dovey and hugging and everything. Pastor Cal was like, I was really confused by the way you guys left, considering you had the way that you walked away after saying we don't want to be married anymore.
Yeah.
And so, he was a little confused. Dr. Pepper said, that Mitch is a little oppositional just on GP. Oppositional and defiant. And that he didn't get the woman that he envisioned. But it was nice that Mitch got
a little plaque.
A little plaque, thank you,
Mm-hmm.
that said everything about Kristen that Kristen wanted to hear when they were married.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that she is enough, that she is, beautiful, and she is
he
smart.
Affirmed her in every way.
Yes. And it got her to thinking there for a second.
Because should I have given more
and
time?
Alexis was like, yeah, no. Don't start thinking that based on one instance where he did everything
that he should have been doing all along.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I think Mitch had that in him all along. He just didn't know how to let it out. He needs time to be able to naturally express those feelings, and they don't come in batches, they don't come in bunches, they come few and far between, because that's just not his natural nature. But I think it took him a while to, I think he took time to find those things.
Yeah.
But he wasn't pressured into doing it. They just happened. He got them. He presented to her, because I think he genuinely likes her.
Absolutely.
He just ain't ready to embrace a relationship. I don't think, he's just not ready for a relationship.
Yeah, but they are leaving on good terms, and that's good. It's always good when you can leave a relationship on good terms.
Yeah. Amicable terms.
Yeah. So that season 15, of course, you've probably seen, like I have, that Katina and Elijah Wan from season 14, the only couple that stayed together, have decided to divorce after a year of marriage. Yeah. So there you go with that. But in preparation for next season, season 16 of Married at First Sight, we've been talking about starting a podcast on Patreon. Yeah. We feel we've gotten some, a message or two, and we'd like to get comments from you that some people might be interested in delving a little deeper into actual issues. And we've been thinking that, a Patreon podcast would give us time to isolate different issues that we see happening with the couples and their relationships, and talk about them a little deeper, and to bring in real principles from our book, Becoming a Professional Lover. And actually we say our book, but I wrote this book with my parents, who were marriage and family life counselors and seminar presenters, workshop presenters. And so this book is 52 principles that you can use to strengthen a relationship. Yeah. And to your relationship. Little shameless plug, Christmas is coming. You can get this on Amazon if you need it, you and your spouse, or if you want it for yourself, or a couple who's engaged in your family. A lot of people get engaged over the holiday season, and this is a great book for them to get started with and building that foundation.
And believe it or not, I really believe this is something, and just the title itself is unique and provocative. Professionalism is something that you work at. Being a lover of a spouse or a significant other, developing a relationship takes effort, takes energy, and to the point of becoming a professional at it, being good at it, not just kind of letting it, happen, so to speak.
No, it's not exactly. Becoming a professional in anything takes time, it takes effort, it takes practice, it takes mastery. Right. And the same with learning how to love. And so the cool thing about this book is that it will never stop being useful, no matter how long you're married, because your marriage goes through lots of different stages
and development.
And with each stage, we need some reminding about how to deal with each other through each of those stages. So, great Christmas present. And so if you would be interested in hearing more in depth and more from our personal experience on how we've dealt with different issues that we talk about from the Married at First Sight couples, because we all go through the same issues.
Pretty much.
It's how you deal with it,
True.
how you see it, how you deal with it, that makes or breaks a relationship. So if you're interested, just leave us a comment that said, that says, yeah, hey, I'd be interested in a Patreon podcast to hear about issues a little bit deeper.
Sure.
And
we're willing
and
to
then what
express.
you would like to hear about.
Yeah.
I mean, certain issues that maybe you're going through, or people who are going through, that you would like us to talk about.
Just the what if.
Yeah, and that will kind of set the stage for how we begin to approach it. Yeah. So, with that, anything else?
No, we look forward to hearing from you.
Absolutely. And until next season, which begins in January, have a great holiday season. Thanksgiving, Christmas, enjoy your family, whoever that is, whether it's blood family or whether it's friends, close friends, family. Just enjoy the holidays with your family. Stay safe. And we want you to learn to love yourselves
and each other.
Bye. See you in January.
Happy holidays.